Guys,
Yes.
just hold on. Hello, just hold on. Yes, hello. What now? You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, who am I talking to? Who am I talking to?
This is Donnie, but you're faint.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I'll keep talking then. Thank you. All right. Welcome to this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry about that, guys. It was just a little, I could not hear things. I apologize. It happens. Donnie Glover, how are you today?
Oh, blessed by the best. How are you, sir?
Just fine, just fine, just fine. And Jessica Cole, how are you today?
Mr. Armstrong, I'm winning, sir.
Oh, now what are you winning? I like to know what you're winning, brother.
I'm winning at life, sir.
You're winning at life?
Yes, sir.
I want to win at life. So look, this is what I'm calling a brother's show today. And I'm not injecting no kind of race, no kind of class. I'm just saying this one is for the brothers. You know, when I read about the kid that's going to get the life sentence for killing this man for no reason at all and then running the truck over, and when I read about this stuff in Florida, when I read about the violence in these inner cities, and it seems like it's a lot among men, what is going on in the world, guys? We'll start with you, Jesse.
Well, thank you for having me on the show again. I appreciate it. One of the things that I believe is happening is you just wrote a book about virtue.
Reawakening virtues, man.
Excuse me?
Reawakening virtues.
Yes, reawakening virtues. And I believe that many of us have fallen asleep on our virtue, or some of us haven't even been taught what virtue is or how to live a virtuous kind of life. So when it gets down to it, it's just those essentials, like we were talking about the other day, of manhood, the essentials of life. I was talking to one of my elders not too long ago. He said we have neglected to embrace the milk of life, and all those the milk of life is just pretty much those virtues that you talk about, that you've been talking about in your book.
Donnie?
I would have to agree. I guess I might look at it from more of a Christian or spiritual aspect. But when you look at the rules, the laws that we are passing, we've taken God out of the classroom, we've taken prayer out of the classroom, and now we're filling the classroom with foolishness. I don't think God is very happy with mankind. We're not kind to the environment. We're not respectful of elders. We have little regard for what our children consume.
What does respect? What does respect?
Education.
What does lack of respect for the environment has to do with all this violence? Please help me understand that.
All of it works together.
Help me understand how that. Help me understand how that's a part of it.
Well, if we're not treating our house right, the house we live in, if our house is funky.
Oh, well, that's different. That's different. We're talking about the homes. Yes, the homes are in a mess.
But the earth is our home. The earth is our home. And if we don't respect it, if we don't take care of it, if we dump oil and garbage and sewage and
but we're talking about the brothers and not. We're not talking about the environment. There's enough time that is spent talking about the environment. Tonight we're trying to find out what's wrong with our young men, man. That's what this conversation is about.
The environment just affects the food that we eat, and if we eating garbage, then we're going to think garbage.
Well, you and I eat junk food sometimes, and we're not out here killing people with no conscience. Come on, Donnie. What are you
Well,
saying?
it goes back to what our guest said, in that we've lost, and as you noted in your book, Reawakening Virtues, we've lost the basics. We've gotten away from speaking to our neighbors, from manners. We drive with road rage. We're off the hook.
Can we put the wheels back on the cart, Jesse?
This is one thing that I talk about in my book, Walk Like a King. And I talk about good environments versus bad environments, or good neighborhoods versus bad neighborhoods, and I try to differentiate the difference, between the two to show the young men, hey, this is what a good environment is. You have good eating habits. You respect your neighbors. You respect your family. You respect the land. These are good neighborhoods, and the bad neighborhoods are the totally opposite. And so many times we've grown up in bad neighborhoods that we don't even understand. We can't even recognize a good neighborhood or a good environment when it is upon us. And so we have to daily. It's not going to be a one-shot thing. It may take 2 generations to do this, but we have to daily pump positivity and daily pump these virtues and daily pump walking like a king into our young men's lives, so they can understand that, hey, man, you're not just here like one of those hamsters in the wheel spinning your wheels. You have value. And you have to add value to this world. And the way to add value to this world is to understand what virtue is, and understand what walking like a king is, and understanding how you can add value to the world. Most of these young men don't even understand their purpose or understand that they have value, so they don't value anything.
How do we help these young men understand what virtues and values and discipline and work ethic is? Because I really don't think they understand the term, because many of them never had the example in their home and in their environment, Donnie.
I would totally have to agree with you. I'm 46, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I looked back over my life and I realized that most of the guys that I grew up with did not have a father. I was talking with a very dear childhood friend yesterday, and he had a father, and we talked about how different that is, how that is not the norm, unfortunately. And when we think about America's prison population, 40% or more of America's prison population is black men. The black family, and I know we're not just talking about black, but let me just say that the black family has been under attack from day one. And with this growing number, this burgeoning number of prisoners in the most incarcerating nation on earth, there's no wonder why there's so much hatred, disdain, lack of respect, because who better to get a young buck on track than an old buck? But if they're all locked up, then everybody's out of order, out of sync.
What you're implying, though, is that our communities lack the role models, the leaders that were once in our communities. Look, guys, we're going to take a quick break here. This is Armstrong Williams. Jesse Cole Jr., Team Life Strategist, transforming teens into moguls. Donnie Glover, Be More News out of Baltimore. I'm Armstrong Williams. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Donnie Martin Glover has been publishing news via the web and doing talk radio in Baltimore, D.C., Virginia area on a consistent basis for nearly a decade. In his 18th year as a journalist, he began his own entrepreneur efforts on August 9, 2002. From over a dozen visits to the Obama White House to media trips to Tanzania, Jordan, and Ethiopia, Glover strives to bring a powerful sense of Afrocentrism to the world of journalism. He is considered a leading advocate for issues in Maryland and beyond. Transforming teens into moguls. I like that. Respected as a voice for today's generation, Jesse has proven that he is a thought leader and a source of substance. He has published several books and executive produced his own DVD entitled Maximize Your Greatness. He is a self-proclaimed kingdom mogul and uses his influence to help teenagers live the type of life that is far above what they could ever imagine. I am so honored to have you both on this evening. But let me start with you both. Why don't you tell our audience about your lives and what shaped you and the kind of environment you were reared in and how you learned about discipline, work ethic, becoming a mogul, becoming a king, being successful. We'll start with you, Jesse.
A pivotal point in my life, I'm going to start with this story. When I was in college, I think it was my junior year, I came home for Thanksgiving break, and I was having a conversation with my father in our parking lot in his car. And he was sharing some things with me that he had never shared before about how he was abused, how, his father was in prison for most of his life. So the guy that he was calling father wasn't really his real father. And so I just heard the pain, and I heard the disgust, and I felt my father's pain. And after the story, he said something to me that pretty much changed my life forever. He said, son, I've been working since I was 13 years old, and I have nothing to show for it. Everything I do from this point on has to count.
Wow.
Everything I do from this point on has to count. And so when he told me that, my mind just automatically went back into, to when we were younger and how I saw my father working 2 or 3 jobs. He was a pastor, and he was working 2 jobs on the side. I remember, us going back and forth down the road, and he wasn't really making a lot of money preaching. He was $75 a Sunday, and he had 4 children. But he still kept at it. That was what he wanted to do. That's what he felt like he was called to do, is to pastor people, to help people. And so no matter how much he was getting paid, he did it. And that's where I learned about passion and having purpose. And when you're operating in your purpose and when you're operating in your passion, the money will come. But even if the money doesn't come, you get fulfillment out of the work you do. And so that's where I learned about discipline, just watching him grow as a pastor, and how he would be in the bathroom and with his tape recorder, right? And he would be preaching to himself on a tape recorder, practicing. So when he got up in front of the church, it was nothing new to him. And so I find myself doing some of the same things with my speaking and with my writing. I pretty much get my work ethic from he and my mother as well. So that's where I learned about discipline. That's where I learned about compassion. That's where I learned about philanthropy, how he would go fishing and bring a fish home and feed the neighborhood and plant a garden, and he would put something away for us, but he would walk around the neighborhood giving everybody else what was left over. That's how I learned about that stuff. That's how I learned how to walk like a king from my father.
Donnie, that was powerful, wasn't it?
It was powerful.
It was deep.
I can relate.
Let us hear.
Before I go on, let me pay homage to you for sharing with Jesse and myself and so many others, for always opening your door. I can't remember a time where you told me I couldn't come and interview you, I couldn't come and learn from you. And that's powerful right here, Jesse, to have an Armstrong Williams who gets to meet with the president and heads of state to actually share, not just with the audience, but with his younger brother. So shade to Big Brother Armstrong.
You know what? I got to tell you, thank you. That's all I can say, brother.
But you don't have to do it. You could be stuck up on your high horse in an ivory tower, but that's not you.
Listen, you're not going to build any kind of life for yourself if you sit around thinking that you're important and the world is your footstool. You find yourself alone, desperate, and almost on life support. Life is about relationships. We're psychological beings, all dependent on each other. We need people in our lives to make us grow and to learn and teach us the most important lessons. And you guys are certainly doing that with this broadcast. I love Jesse's story when he was saying, when his father said, what do I have to show for my life? And my God, that is the story of so many people. What do you have to show for living, man?
Yes.
Donnie, go ahead.
Well, I would take a similar route. I'd have to pay homage to my mother. There was a councilwoman here. Before she was a councilwoman, she was a homeless advocate. And before she was a homeless advocate, she was homeless. She passed on, but her name was B. Gaddy. And she would go up and feed the homeless, the hungry, and the bitter cold. And years before I even met her, I remember a Thanksgiving with my mother. I was about 16. And I just finished a big old meal and eating up her German chocolate cake. And she said, here, 2 plates. Go give them to somebody. I said, give them to who? And she said, give them to somebody. And what I learned from her and would later learn from the late councilwoman, Baltimore City Councilwoman B. Gaddy, was a sense of unconditional love. What I learned from my father, like Jesse, was a strong work ethic. My father was a funeral director. I lived above a funeral home until I was 8 years old. I was catching a bus across town at the age of 7 at a Afro newspaper paper route, and had to clean the house before I went outside on Saturdays and shovel snow, cut grass. But education, I would only add in there, education was something that I love. I used to love it when it rained because that meant the bad kids wouldn't come to school because they were a distraction. They weren't serious about education. And so although it took me 13 years and 7 undergraduate schools to get a bachelor's degree, I ultimately did get it, and my thesis shy of a master's degree. And that's my column, the Glover Report. We talk about the book and the ballot. So I'm a strong proponent of education, of higher education. I tend to agree with this president. Maybe a person won't go to college, but certainly get some kind of training. And I would also add that my mother said at the age of 18, she was the mother of 4. My siblings are 15, 16, and 18 years old, so I was the youngest. She said at 18, you're going to college, you're going to work, or you're going to the military, but you're leaving here. And I think when you look at some of, especially in the poor black communities, we have a multiple generational thing where teenagers are having babies. So nobody ever really grew up and is dude after dude after dude, so the kid don't know who his daddy is. And I think that kind of lends to a lot of the underdevelopment that we see. So I would credit my parents. My father trained me as a journalist. He wanted me to be an undertaker. Don't get it twisted, but I remember him having me listen to Paul Harvey, listening to Carl T. Rowan. This is the Rowan Report, and reading editorials. He insisted that I be able to speak intelligently on most any topic out there. So I would, like Jesse, pay homage to my parents.
I grew up. Listen, it's almost. I mean, having a 2-parent household today almost seems like a luxury. It really does. It seems abnormal, but I grew up in an abnormal household. I had a mother and a father. I had a father who's my best friend that I idolized, that I was scared to death of. But he was a father. I always knew he loved me. He was always at the school when I was getting rewards for honors. I was involved in some speaking contests. He was always there for me when I was involved in 4-H. He was always on the college campus. When I was running for student body president, I'll never forget him financing the campaign for me, and he told me if I maintained a 3.4 average, I would not have to work. he would send me a stipend every semester of $600. Let me tell you something, guys. $600 in the late 70s, early 80s was a lot of money in college for one semester. Let me just tell you, okay? It may not seem like much now for one semester, but back there, but it's not even about the money. It's that my father was willing to support me, but I had to earn it. So I grew up with a positive reinforcement. I grew up quite comfortable working for someone like a Justice Thomas or Strong Thurman, because that did not intimidate me, because they reminded me of my father. They were very stern. They believed in discipline. They believed in being on time. So that was not a shock to me. They believed in a certain dress code. So I grew up in that kind of culture. My parents expected us to do well, and so well we had to do. Because listen, my parents paid for our education. For any of us that wanted to go to college, they paid it out of their pockets. Because my father and mother felt that there were other people that needed the scholarships and the grant money more than we did. And so if we were able to maintain a certain grade point average, they would finance our education. So my experience with the father, and in fact, I never really knew what broken homes were and how dysfunctional some families were until I came to Washington in the late 80s. And so for me, I can't even imagine growing up without a father. I cannot even imagine how somebody cannot even be close to their mother and father. No matter what conflicts you have, that's your father, and you owe him the honor, the respect, not just in life, but even though my father's dead now, even in death, I respect the values and the virtues that he imparted to me, because even though he may have physically died, what he imparted to me as a father still lives on forever.
Yes. Amen. You know, as you were talking, I was thinking of a lot of the women that I've met over the years, and how a lot of women don't have great relationships with their fathers. I've even learned of women who their fathers or had brothers or uncles who sexually abused them, and it just lends to a lot of the pain that people, all races, are going through. And not everybody has that those great memories of their dad, of their mom. So we are indeed blessed and indeed fortunate, and unfortunately we have the burden of being fathers, parents to other children in the village, black, white, and otherwise.
But you know, Jesse, I actually, and tell me if I'm naive, I actually believe that most households were with parents that kids loved and respected and had fun with, at least for the up until about 30 years ago. I think what we're seeing now is almost anything that has ever been, we have never seen anything like it in this country before. And it's so out of control now. It's so pervasive. It's so acceptable that, in fact, we're trying to make it the norm. And these are the kind of values that we sort of materialize and present on TV as being normal. And what was normal when we were growing up is sort of pushed back because people don't want to embrace that anymore, because it seems that it doesn't make any sense. So we present something to kids that is further destroying them through our media and entertainment.
This is interesting that you would bring this up. I just had a conversation with a couple of my students, and 3 of them were female.
Hold that point. We're going to come back to it. All right. Jesse.
I'm here.
The Mogul. Donnie Glover. This is a show for the brothers. You like that, Donnie?
Yes, sir.
This is a show for the brothers. All brothers, all men. We need to be empowered. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Donnie Glover, Be More News, Jesse A. Cole Jr., author, speaker, mentor. You were about to tell a story about your classroom and these images.
Yes. Just had a conversation with a couple of my students. Before the break, we were talking about how the way that we grew up, we grew up with parents in our home. That was normal. That was norm. Now that seems abnormal. And so the kids were asking me questions about my life. I play a game with them called the hot seat, where they can ask me any question they want as long as it's respectful. And they were asking me about how did I grow up, and excuse me, am I married or have any children? And they said, Mr. Cole, are you married? I said, yes. How long? 5 years. You have any kids? What? You don't have any kids? You don't have any children at all? And it's almost as if it was something wrong with me because I don't have any kids yet, or the fact that I was married to my wife and I don't have a girlfriend on the side. Like things like that. It doesn't seem natural for them to live that type of life, and for us, that's just normal. And so just that gave me a peek even further into their environment. Like my brother was talking about earlier, we don't respect the environment, but it even goes deeper than that. We don't respect the environment that we live in, not just the earth, but just our community or the values and the virtues of a good community. They felt as if I was abnormal. The fact that I come to work on time, the fact that I pay my bills on time, or you never had your lights cut off, am I supposed to have my lights cut off? Like things like that. They see things like this as normal, and anything outside of that is just a total shock to them.
Donnie, he makes an excellent point. You know what? It's as if some young people will say to you, well, I got to do this now because I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 30. As if their values are, they expect to not succeed. They expect to lose. They expect to be involved in violence. They expect to go to jail. They expect to drop out of high school. And you know what? I just find it mind-boggling.
There's a fatalism, and maybe it's, in part due to the movies, to the music. I think there was a time when hip-hop was more beautiful. Today, we hear a lot of hit them in the head and treat the woman with a lot of disrespect. It's what we put in. You get out of it what you put into it. And often today, children are raising themselves, or the television is raising children. It's easy to put one of the little thumb games in front of them. A lot of the children, especially in suburbia, they don't even know the names of the streets. They don't go outside. Punishment for us, and again, I'm 46. Punishment for me was I couldn't go outside. Punishment for the kids today, you have to go outside. It's the abnormal has become normal, and the normal has become abnormal. Now, Jesse, I can't totally relate in the sense that I do know what it is to have lights cut off. I do know what it is to have to say, my mother told me to tell you that she's not home when the bill collector calls. I do know about the funny money when it comes to going to the store with food stamps. That wasn't the entirety, but I thank God for those lessons of poverty, those lessons of not having, because it teaches you some survival skills. so that when a blizzard hits, when an earthquake hits, and the electricity goes out, you have some sense of, one, not to panic, two, that there's a solution. You just got to find it.
Exactly.
Jesse, go ahead.
I agree. Now, they were asking me a question as if right now in my life. Now, have I ever experienced that growing up? Of course. I've taken the brown and the green and the purple food stamps down to get some bread. I've done that. I've experienced those things growing up. Yeah. So I remember going next door asking for some sugar, and the same thing our neighbors did to us. And I appreciate that, and I know how to struggle because of that, just like you said. And I'm glad you said that. However, they were speaking my life now. They feel as if you have your lights turned off, or if like struggle is necessary. That's how they feel. That's how they were. You don't struggle. I'm like, well, if you don't have to struggle, why should you struggle? If you have the money to pay the bill, why pay your bill? You have a cable bill and you have a light bill. Which one are you going to pay first?
Well, you know what? You bring up a great point. I think that's a challenge that a lot of people face, living beyond our means. If we can't afford the cable, I know people with a Mercedes-Benz out front, but they're sleeping on the floor inside the house. A lot of times we want to look good, but we're not good. We don't have any money stashed. We don't have any food in the refrigerator. We're eating out. We've gotten away from it. I'm sure Armstrong probably had a lot of family dinners down there in South Carolina, but today dinner is quite often a trip to the fast food spot. And again, the abnormal has become normal.
You know what? I want to give you an interesting stat, because I just wrote a column on the change in American landscape, and it's interesting. You talk about the BMWs. Let me mention this about the BMWs and the Mercedes. 86% of the people in this country that drive Mercedes and BMWs make less than $400,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
The 1%ers, only 8% of them drive BMWs and Mercedes and these fancy cars. Most of these cars are driven by people who are underwater and cannot afford them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were to miss 2 paychecks,
they're walking.
Yeah.
Isn't that an interesting statistic? Correct. Isn't it interesting that you have people who engage in credibility by showboating? In order to be credible, you got to wear a certain watch, you got to have on a certain kind of suit, certain kind of clothes, you got to look a certain way. It doesn't matter whether you have that or not, but that's what you must perpetrate to have credibility among your peers, because people like talking about wealth and whether you have it or not. And so many people buy into that. That's why they live above their means, because they're trying to not just keep up with the Joneses, they're trying to continue their affront to society. People can't be comfortable with themselves anymore. People, sometimes I show up at receptions getting out of a cab, and people say, I say, man, look, a cab is probably $8. To have a driver take you, it's $50. I said, go, and when I people come in, sometimes I have a cab go pick them up. I said, man, look, to go to Dallas, that's $130-some. For me to have a cab do it, that's like $60-some round trip. It's about saving money to me. It's not about showboating and trying to impress somebody. And people just don't understand that. They don't understand why people have more and others have less.
It goes back to what you value.
Yes.
It goes back to what we prefaced this conversation with in the first place. Values. And last year, I believe you did an interview. I forgot the lady's name, but you said money doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't bring you happiness. If you don't use it for compassion and to bring others along and to do good in society, it can become very destructive.
It is,
now,
and you know what?
Those are your words, and so
it's true.
When I heard that, when I read that, I'm like, man, a lot of our young people need to hear that, because we value the wrong things. We value the money. We value the BMW. We value the jewelry and the clothes. However, once you take all that stuff away, what do you have left? What do you have to show for it? And so one thing I try to get my young men to understand is, yes, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the swag in the world. However, but if you have no substance, if you don't know what your core values are, you're going to always be lost looking for something. You're going to always look like that hamster in the wheel, spinning your wheels, not really going anywhere. But if you live your life excuse me, with virtue, if you live your life understanding what your core values are, you can always come back to that. We're going to stray. Sometimes we get the big head, sometimes we stray, sometimes we get caught up in the moment, we get caught up in the culture. However, if you know what your core is, you can always come back to that.
And you know what?
So many of our young people are missing that to come back to, that core value to come back to, because they're void of understanding.
And Donnie, it is so true. You know, we have many interns who come in and out of our offices, and they are shocked that I'm on the phone line with the airline negotiating the best price to fly home. They're so shocked that I'm on the phone with Amtrak negotiating the best price, and that I'm on Priceline.com negotiating the best price for a hotel room.
I just would take it a step further. As both of you were talking, I'm thinking about Greater Baltimore. And before integration, most African Americans, for instance, lived deep inside the city. But with integration, now all of my relatives live beyond the Beltway in northwest Baltimore County. What recently has happened there is a redistricting that, of course, comes along with the census every 10 years. And this majority black area in northwest Baltimore County, which contains the most upwardly mobile African Americans in the greater Baltimore area, they just lost political power. And it reminds me of something I say on our show all the time, is that black people fresh out of slavery seem to have more common sense than black people today. With all of our six-figure incomes and big houses and luxury cars, we're actually losing ground. There was once 114 HBCUs. Now it's down to 105. There was a time when we voted, and voting was important. But these very people in Baltimore County don't even vote, or they vote for the wrong guy, or they vote still in the city. So those things that got us here, going right back to the beginning of the conversation, we stopped doing those things. We stopped caring and stopped doing the things that got us out there.
Tell the truth or stay out of the church. You know, one of the things you need to tell your young people, and I know they're listening tonight, Jesse, and I don't say this enough, is that income is not wealth. Hey, just because somebody tells you they're making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, that means they have wealth. They could be underwater, living above their means. Wealth is when you can make $40,000 and put aside $10,000 that year, instead of making $48,000 and spending $52,000. That's what people need to understand. It's simple. That is why it's so important for people to understand economics and simple math. Income is not wealth. It's what you're able to put aside and grow to build something over time. Just like building and growing a garden, growing a farm, growing a tree farm. It starts with the first seed. Glover, coal, army. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
See, both of you, Donnie Glover and Jesse, talk about building wealth, and I think it's important. I think we should spend this last segment educating not just the young people, but the general public about this thing when they talk about money. Let me tell you something. Income and wealth have incorrectly become synonymous in American culture. While the two concepts often go hand in hand, using the terms interchangeably, in my opinion, is misleading. America's most wealthy individuals don't necessarily draw the highest levels of income. And also, and Donnie, you can back this up, for example, while professional athletes that you know, top executives that you both know, doctors and lawyers have reputations for high salaries, their obligations can make accumulating significant wealth very difficult. Many wealthy individuals, on the other hand, have never earned an exceptionally large paycheck. For me, I like to think of income as the amount of money someone receives on a regular basis, while wealth is the length of time that person or family could maintain their current lifestyle without receiving compensation for performing additional work from here to eternity.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
This is Jesse. I believe that one of the easiest ways to begin building wealth is to eradicate debt.
You got to work to build it, though. That requires work. That requires discipline and sacrifice, man. That's what people need to understand.
And discipline and sacrifice again goes back to what we started talking about. That's a core value. Discipline and sacrifice, knowing what discipline is and knowing what sacrificing is, and how to apply it to whatever situation you're in life. So, as we talk about building wealth, there's no way that you can, whatever wealth is to you, there's no way that you can get to that point if you have a truckload of debt. You can make $1 million a year.
Like the athletes, and you wonder why they go bankrupt as soon as their career's over.
Yeah, it's because of the debt or poor investing or forming partnerships with people who really didn't know what they were doing. No. Forming partnerships with them where you become their business. Yeah.
Come on now.
They depend on you, but again, I believe that the easiest, and for me, this is what's working for me. So I can speak from a personal standpoint. Eradicating debt, finding those little areas in your budget if you have one, or find those little areas in your household where you can just get rid of things that don't really matter. A lot of times we play keeping up with the Joneses game, and especially in the inner city, we do that a lot. Or we watch TV and we look at the videos and we look at what other people have. We feel like we got to have that, even though we can't afford it, and we take on all of this weight. But the word says we have to lay aside every weight that so easily besets us. So whatever that weight is, that we need to get rid of that. Whatever that debt is, we need to get rid of it. My wife and I, we just got rid of our cable. We had it for less than a month. We're like, we don't even need this. We don't even need this, so we got rid of it, and it was nothing for us to do that because we understand where we're trying to go. And if you don't have a vision for your house, you don't understand where you're trying to go, then it's going to be hard for you to get rid of that debt.
And you can't save money unless you know what you're saving it for.
Exactly.
Donnie?
I ain't getting rid of the cable just yet, Jesse. I need my cable, and I'm going to blame it on being a journalist. I need to know what the news is. Hey, I don't know, Jesse. I'm going through withdrawals. If I lose my cable 48 hours, I got a problem. But I will say this, that in celebrating 10 years of business come August, what I've learned to do as a small, essentially one-man band is to do more with less. Yeah. Where I've seen a millionaire recently put on a $8,000 birthday party. I put on an event for significantly less, maybe $400, $500, and it was just as effective, if not more. I've learned how to, where most people pay to go and get a venue, I've learned how to barter and leverage my resources, where if I'm bringing them 40, 50, 100, 200 people to their venue, I'm not paying them. I'm going to have them pay me. I mean, I would learn. I took that out of the Armstrong Williams book of self-determination. So using and also using the gifts and talents that we have to leverage the things that we want. When my daughter was 3 or 4, needed daycare, I had a client who had a daycare center. I advertised his daycare. He took care of my daughter. That took $500 off of my bill every week, and that was a great savings because I really couldn't afford daycare. So also, as we do our different business networking events in Baltimore and Washington, and we're going to Harlem in June, working with strategic partnerships. I heard you guys allude to that. Having people where you look out for them and they look out for you. It doesn't always have to be a cash exchange. You know, it could be, a dentist and you're a doctor. Well, the dentist takes care of you and your children's teeth, and you take care of him and his children's health or what have you. So, using what we have to, intelligently using what we have. And, of course, you can't do that with everybody, but when you find good people, take good care of them.
Yeah, you've got to empower other people. You've got to work with people. You've got to grow them. You got to show them the way, no matter how difficult it is, because you never know when you save a child on the street, you may end up saving your life or your child's life. I mean, the Bible, if you read it, it's the best book I've ever read in my life because people think it's some religious doctrine. It's really a book of life. It's such common sense. It's so profound.
I was reading Psalms 41. It says, take care of poor people. And there's a lady at my coffee spot, and she's a little mentally deranged. And I promised this year that I was cutting her off, and thus far I have. But it's more than that. I want her to get the necessary help. But at the same time, having read Psalms 41, the next time she hits me up for $1 for a coffee, I got to give it to her because that's what the book say. And a lot of us don't understand that principle, Jesse, that with a closed hand, nothing gets in and nothing gets out. But with an open hand, the endless possibilities. You got to help somebody.
I'm reading Proverbs right now, and I'm glad that we got to this point. I was hoping that we would.
Oh, yeah, we were going to get there.
The spiritual aspect of living is very important to us. I've been reading Proverbs this month, and, man, that's some good eating right there, fellas. I'm pretty sure you've read it. But I believe it's in chapter 16, it's either 16 or 19, where it says, your gifts will make room for you and bring you before kings, bring you before great men. And then a couple of chapters later, it says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and he shapes it. He moves it wherever he wants it to go. And it also says, and I'm not trying to preach because that's not even my role.
No, you're reaching. There's a difference. Okay. You're reaching, okay? And you can reach on this broadcast.
It also says that God gives us the ability to make plans. However, the final word is his. And so those three scriptures working together lets me know that, hey, I do have the ability to use my gifts. I do have the ability to work this thing. However, the final say is his, and he's shaping everything that's happening to me, the struggle that we're talking about, my hardships I go through, the things that we're seeing our kids go through. All of this stuff is happening for a reason. He shapes the hearts of the kings. However, we have to get back to instilling into our young people that, hey, your gifts will make room for you. It's not just the $1 million is not just going to come up on your porch and knock on the door and say, hey, here I am. You're going to have to go out there and work for that. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have perseverance, determination. So I guess I said all that to say this, that we have to teach our young people, because that's my heart, teach our young people these core values. I was always going to go back to these
and
core
not only
values
do we must teach these core values, we have to set examples for these
We have
kids.
to walk it out.
We have
Walk
to
like
mentor
kings.
them. We're live. You're listening to the Armstrong Williams Show. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
Yes. We have to walk it out like kings, because all three of us are, in our own respect. We have the young people cannot just get lip service from us. Our community cannot just get lip service from us. We can't keep holding all these meetings and all these town hall meetings and all these conferences, but no action is coming behind it. People have to see us walking this stuff out. We have to be the example of faith. We have to be the example of wealth. We have to be the example, because if they don't see it, then it's not real to them.
So be more. So tell us the good news of what our kids are doing that we don't talk about enough.
Our kids are chewing Percocets like they Skittles. Kids are chewing these painkillers. I forgot the name. Oxycontin. Percocets and Oxycontin. And I'm watching one young man in my neighborhood. If he was 150 pounds right now, he's about 130. And I so badly want to say something to him. I just pick my times. My block used to be filled with heroin, cocaine, crack. And, 7, 8 years ago, my neighbors, the men in this block, we took our block back. We don't have that foolishness now. We have a working rapport with the drug dealers. We understand that drugs will be sold. They are going to be sold. But we also understand, they understand, it's not going to be sold on this block. And what else are our young people? Our young people are not taking their notebooks to school. If I pull up one young person, I pull up 2 or 3 of them. Where's your notebook? And invariably they say, well, I did my homework in school. And I said, you're not going to get to college like that. I asked one young man last night, oh, you don't want to go to college? No. And I'm sorry for him, because I know that this new youth prison that they're building or want to build here in the city, they don't want to build new schools. They want to keep building prisons. I know this new prison is designed for people like him. So education is not on the forefront. Also, smart kids feel like they have to dummy down. And Jesse, if you're educated, you know better than I do.
Guys, Donnie, Jesse, we must do this again. We found the rhythm here this evening on the show. Got to do it again, guys. Got to do it again. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Armstrong.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FILA, does what others don't. FILA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfila.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfila.com.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong
man,
Williams'
go ahead.
much
Man, I'm on the
anticipated
air
new
till
book,
7 p.m.
Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Good God! I got to ask you, what we need? Soul food. Henry soul food. No, we need it. Soul food. Henry soul food. No, I like it. Soul food. Henry soul food. No, we need it. Soul food. Henry soul food.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry soul food. What we need? Soul food. Henry soul food.
I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong, get on the right side. Armstrong, elevate your mind. Armstrong, I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned in to the most conservative of our brothers. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
You know, I actually think the show is still running. I think we're still on the air, so I'm going to talk because we had a little difficult today. Listen, I want to let you know how much we appreciate you. I don't know if we're live or not, but I'm going to say this because my clock tells me we have about 2 minutes left live. Look, I want you to know how much we appreciate you. Someday soon, we're going to be taking live calls here on the Armstrong Williams Show. We're gonna make this very interactive. But just know our appreciation. We'd love to receive your emails at info@rightsidewire.com. You can visit our website, www.rightsidewire.com. You know, you can read my syndicated column in the Washington Times A section every Monday. Every Monday is in there. You know, I blog literally for the Hill every day. Every day I send the Hill, www.thehill.com, a blog. And all you do is when you go to the Hill, you just click on Pundit's blog. But look, we appreciate you. Tomorrow, Roland Martin will be our guest. That's right. Roland Martin is on tomorrow, so you don't want to miss tomorrow's broadcast. Look, it's only getting better. Even though we don't talk to you, we appreciate the support, and we do get your feedback. Yes, we do. We do get your feedback, and we appreciate it so immensely. Thank you so much. And I gotta just thank the brother for calling me this evening, the engineer, to let us know that we were live, because there was a little panicky up in here, but I'm human. Thank you. Good shout out to you. Thank you so much. And enjoy. Listen, I hope you're enjoying the show. Give us your feedback. Be a part of the broadcast. Okay, let's make this work. We've got to save this country. Our country is in trouble. We must save it. We the people. Take care, everybody.